Right, so I think plan is for this podcast, I've got some information, things I've learned, and if I think we'll try something a little bit different. I'm just going to throw stuff at you.
Oh shit.
And then we'll just have a little discussion about it. The main theme of this podcast is kind of going to be sort of socialising and charisma and stuff like that. Because I don't know about you, but that is not something that comes naturally to me at all.
No.
That has had to be a learned skill for me. And I think it is. I think most people are born not
charismatic.
Yeah, struggling socially. I think more people struggle socially or it doesn't come naturally to them than the people who it does come naturally to. It's a massive trait if you can have like natural charisma and natural social skills.
Like weapon to have, skill to have, because you can get so many places with being charismatic and being able to talk to people really well and stuff. It can take you far.
Yeah.
So it's definitely a skill worth having.
Yeah, definitely. Have you ever watched Peep Show?
No.
There's a thing in Peep Show where he goes to a university, ends up getting in a university class just purely by walking in and just telling them who's supposed to be there. And in Peep Show, there's little like messages in their own head. And in that one, he says, "Is the whole world just people walking into rooms and saying things?" And I thought about it so much because it's like, pretty much.
It is.
Like, think how many jobs are just people walking into rooms and saying things. Like, they could be talking shit, they might not be. But like, that's an actual job that people have. Like, think of like politics. Politics is, the House of Commons is just a bunch of people walking into a big room and saying things. They don't do anything. They just say stuff. Like, and that's the whole thing. And obviously the actions, things happen behind words sometimes, but yeah, the whole world is just people walking into rooms and saying things. So I think we should start at the very the initial part of socialising. So that initial when you meet someone and you introduce yourself. The way that I've put it is imagine you're running a 100-metre race. The person who usually wins the 100-metre race is the person with the best start. So it's the same thing when you're socialising. If you have a good start in a social interaction, not necessarily going to win that interaction, but you're going to come across well in that in social
Sure.
thing.
Yeah, I mean the start of a conversation is what sets it off for the rest of. Sometimes I think for the rest of the time you know someone, that first interaction. I find a lot of myself. I find sometimes if I've woken up one day, I've not been at my best form, and I've met someone that I now know for the rest, maybe the rest of my life, but that's in my life at the moment. Sometimes I'll be trying to get out of this character that I've kind of created from.
And it's
this
really
person
hard.
that I was when I first met them. It's hard to break out of it. It's like childhood friends. They kind of see you as this person you went to school with, and they've seen you through your flaws and stuff. In school and all the wacky haircuts you had and shit. And then, sometimes, I mean, it can be a good thing, it's you make friends forever, but I'm thinking people I've met on a bad day that are still in my life, and it's friends are friends, for example.
Yeah.
Friends are friends that I meet. I'm that day you met me, maybe I was I wasn't making much effort to speak because I was quiet or some shit like that, and now they see me forever as that guy that didn't talk much that time they met them. Do you know what I'm
you're
saying?
the guy who doesn't talk.
Yeah, whereas if that day I was really charismatic, had a lot of energy, had a coffee maybe, I was what's up, bro? And they might see me as that guy he's really cool, we had a lot of conversations that day, we talked about this, that and that, he's a cool guy. So that first interaction really really
set it off, kind of.
Yeah.
But so I know I think I've had that my whole life. As I was the quiet guy, and I hated it. You just being known as the quiet guy, because in that initial interaction, I've always held back and been a bit just as a natural introvert. I think that's just how it is, isn't it?
Yeah, for sure. I think I was the same. I was known as the quiet guy too, in school and stuff.
Yeah. Do you ever prepare yourself for social interaction? Do you ever pump yourself up?
Yeah.
Have you ever done that?
Yeah. All the time.
When you're like listening to music or like telling yourself you're the guy and then walking in like it's the first time you're gonna like walk into like a job or something.
It's worked. I think it's worked a lot of the time.
It's a bit like if you're in the gym and you're like you need to hit a lift. Now
you listen to some hard shit.
Yeah.
You don't listen to some soft shit.
Yeah.
You know.
You have a better lift if you like pump yourself up. So
you listen to like Ed Sheeran while you're lifting, are you?
No. Or, discussed this before. Like you can't Shape of You. Nah.
Yeah, you can't get a lift on like that. No. I
think it definitely works. It definitely works for me. Getting myself like preparing myself, being like, yeah, you can do this. Because if it's just like springs on me and I'm not ready for it and I'm not in like a low energy mood, I find it hard to then quickly flip when I'm needing to socialise. Whereas if I just do it beforehand and then I go in, I'm going in high energy already. I'm setting off there. Now if the energy drops off a little bit, it might, but you can kind of
'cause you came in
adjust
strong.
it. Yeah, you came in strong and then you...
Yeah, for sure. Especially before like interviews, I think I've done that. It's like just listen to loud music and be like, yeah, I'm fucking, guy. You know, they're just people. They're just people in positions. They're not anything else. And I'm just a guy. Also.
Yeah, they're just other people walking into rooms and saying things.
Exactly. And I'm just gonna also walk into that room and say shit, but I'm gonna say shit better than them.
Yeah. And get it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, for sure.
So that's like the initial part. And then the other thing I wanted to talk about was just the general... I've done it there. I've just done it. This is literally my point. So saying and when conversating, that's a massive... It's such a skill not to do it.
Yeah, it's going to take a lifelong time.
You're trying to not say it.
Trying to not do it now.
Yeah, it's impossible. It's so hard not to do.
Work out how not to do that.
But you hear like some podcasters, what they do is they actually have speech therapy lessons to get them used to not saying and or like trying to use different words and just avoiding it. And also the other thing is they spend a lot of time in conversation getting used to just not talking, which feels really weird.
It does. I've tried to I mean, you know when you're talking to someone and you go, oh yeah, you're saying yeah, oh yeah, exactly, oh yeah, facts, like that. I've tried to be like, oh, maybe I shouldn't say that too much, just to let them spin off and let them absolutely say everything, and then when they finish talking, me to go, yeah, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Might be better. But then you've brought this point before, Elon Musk, he's just like fucking goes, all the time, don't he?
He can't really...
But then he's
not he's not interview trained.
No. And he has autism. He has autism, stuff like that.
I think so. I would guess that he does.
I think he does. And that probably plays a huge factor, but then he's Elon Musk, so who gives a fuck?
This is the thing, like,
his status.
And he doesn't seem to care that he doesn't let it bog him down when he's in interviews and stuff. He'll say and all this stuff and still boss the interview and come across. I guess he just has so much charisma around everything he's done. He just can back himself regardless of his ability to conversate, I guess. Maybe.
Yeah.
Which would make sense. So they've got an interesting statistic about communication. So being poor at communicating. So I wondered, like, if you're bad at talking, does that affect you financially? Anyway, so I had a little look. There's a study which concluded that every year US businesses lose an estimated $1.2 trillion purely due to bad communication or poor communication or lack of communication.
Wow.
Roughly. Which is like massive amounts of money.
That's stupid amounts
So if you put that to your own life, surely the fact that all jobs are just people walking into rooms and saying things.
Well, yeah, my job, I'm actually leaving that job, aren't I? I'm starting a new job, but the job kind of, at the moment, there's people walking into rooms and not saying enough. Because the communication there is an absolute fucking shambles, bro. They just no one speaks to each other. You ask your manager something and they go, I don't know if that's been worked. And I'm thinking, well, you're a manager, can you go find out? Can you message the person.
Yeah.
But they just don't know. They don't want to communicate. They don't want to go find out. They just want to go, you know, I'm not sure. It's like sick, bro. How'd you get your job, mate? Like, fucking hell. But yeah.
It makes sense. And then the other thing I was thinking, when it comes to that is, if you're someone who talks to a lot of people and is good at talking to a lot of people and like asking good questions and stuff, you find out opportunities to make money.
Yeah.
So let's say you're talking to someone who's just realised that X stock is about to go up because of something. I don't know. Like for example, today I saw that Trump is now lifting some of the tariffs on countries, which is probably going to make some certain stocks then go up.
Right. Yeah.
And therefore it's kind of an opportunity to go, okay, well, what tariffs are lifted? What companies that those tariffs currently affecting? And if someone like could tell you, like, oh, this is happening, so therefore it could literally make you money.
For sure, yeah.
But like that purely comes down to you being good at communication. Has allowed you to learn about that.
Talk to this guy, and this guy's let you know, yeah, for sure. It's like networking, isn't it? It's like networking is talking to people, and you know, getting to know people.
Yeah. Exactly.
Well,
and then I've got another interesting one, sort of more to do with body language again. So I've got a study, but I'll sort of explain it first. So you know when you do like try and like sort your posture out, like look big and look like strong, like high, like strong energy, and like confident. Apparently that actually directly affects testosterone. Like when you do.
Oh, I've heard this
like,
as well.
Yeah. So if you position yourself with like open yourself
how wide up. So like if I sit like wider.
Like legs open, man spread.
Yeah.
And like take up space.
The one that I do a lot, which I noticed myself boost my confidence. If I'm on a chair or some shit, if I go like this.
Yeah, you're leaning back.
That's a power move right there. If you're on a date or some shit, oh my god.
Because imagine like that.
If you're like this
versus
drinking like this, you're drinking your little drink, but now you're like this, and you're talking to someone.
You're showing you're relaxed,
Bro,
you're confident, you're not.
That shit's
you don't fear them. Whereas if you're like that, you're almost fearing the person in front of you. Yeah. So imagine like in a date, and you're like this, and they're like.
And subconsciously they're noticing that too, like you know. Yeah. If there's across some guy that's like this versus some guy like this, they're thinking, wow, he's confident. Without them thinking that, their body knows it. You know.
Yeah.
You get laid. You get laid better.
Yeah. Oh. But I think it's really difficult when you're first meeting someone to just have that, to think about all these things. I feel like you're so much more, like if you know the person, you're going into a conversation, you can so easily do all these little bits and bobs. Like it's really easy. Like I remember like the first time you're meeting someone, it's so much harder. I remember like the first time like I met my girlfriend, it was like very much, I was a lot more like, she took me by surprise, I wasn't ready, just came up to us and was like, hi, how are you, blah, blah, blah. And she came in high energy and that sort of, I wasn't ready with it at all.
A lot of balls from her to come up to two guys she doesn't know.
Yeah. But I think that comes naturally to some people, isn't it? Like, some people just, it's so much easier. Like for me, it's just, I can't just go up to people, like that feels weird.
Sure,
I find it a lot easier to go into like warm interactions than cold interactions.
Yeah. It's definitely something I want to get better with. It's just talking to people in public and like.
I think this podcast is going to help with it. Like it's practicing talking. We're both now actively sat here trying not to say or ah.
Yeah. And you know, right now we're just talking to a camera. We know how many people listen behind it. Like, you know,
endless numbers.
10.
Oh.
Even that though, if there was 10 people in front of me right now, I was speaking to them, I'd shit myself.
Yeah. Same.
So. Something, 10 is something.
10 is pretty good.
I feel like we can dive into some of these points again. Have you finished reeling off points?
I've got some other points.
Okay, go for it.
So, what else have I got? Here we go. This is what I found interesting. I was listening to a Chris Williamson podcast, and it was talking about how actually mimicking the other person's energy can help As long as it's subtle. If you're like completely copying everything they do, it probably come across a completely different way. But imagine someone comes in, someone's like, "Hiya, you alright?" And you're, "Hey, yo," and they're like just like getting like all hyped up, and they're just like responding with, "Yeah, cool." It's just not going to work, is it? No. You've got to you've got to tone it down, or the other way. If you're coming in much calmer and they come in a bit more high energy, you can just lift your energy a little bit, and it helps get that little balance of like your energy levels, so they like connect.
I watched sorry, this is a bit off topic. I watched Joe Rogan podcast with some guy, and he was like, I think he was like in the secret intelligence for like communicating with people and getting them to do stuff and that. And he mentioned, this is getting a little bit like I don't know, spiritual almost, but like he was saying, if you mimic someone's like the way someone's sitting, if you mimic their actions, you can actually hypnotize them to do stuff. He was like, you can actually hypnotize them to do stuff, and this is something the government teaches him how to do. So like, yeah, if I was just copying you the way you're sitting and shit like this, without you knowing it, if everything you did, I did the same thing, you might catch on eventually. But like you'd be, he said something like, it does something to you to where you're hypnotized by the person. Fuck knows, right, sidetrack.
But is that they start copying you, and then once you've copied them loads, then you start changing the position. They feel like they've got to change. Is it something like that? That's how I'm getting it.
Yeah.
I'd have to
I probably shouldn't have brung out with enough points to back what I was saying.
It's alright.
It just made me think of it. I thought, that ties, it actually could be deeper than just trying to match someone's level. You're actually like getting on the same fucking wavelength as them, You're spitting the same, you're on the same fucking waves.
Yeah.
Sound wave. I don't know what I'm saying. But yeah.
Yeah, I know what you mean. What you mean.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll have to look
Yeah, this guy was saying you literally go on the same wave as them.
Yeah.
Frequency, that's the word. Yeah, anyway.
That's interesting, isn't it?
What was the second point you made?
Second point I made, was it about...
There was something to say about that.
Do you know what, there's something else we haven't talked about. How to... So, I think I'd describe myself as an introvert. I'm not extroverted at all. I've never been naturally extroverted. It's always been very much an introvert. Any sort of extroversion? Yeah. Has been... Extroversion. Any extra virgin olive oil has had to be learned.
Yeah.
Has had to be learned because I'm just a very introverted person. But how,
Sure.
I think you can have so much charisma being introverted instead of extroverted.
Yeah, we were speaking about that on the way here, wasn't we?
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't necessarily earlier. That was the point I think I wanted to go back to.
Yeah.
How we were talking about you got to be extrovert. You got to be charismatic, and you'll get further in life. Also, you can do it without speaking as much. You just have to. It's very much how you carry yourself too. You can maybe not say a lot, but if you're carrying yourself well, you won't look like that awkward guy. You know. Do you get what I'm trying to say?
Yeah. Imagine you're the quiet guy in the room, but you're sat in a confident pose, and that every now and then you make a valid point. You don't go and I'm in an R in and talking and filling gaps. If you just sit there, wait. Yeah, that's interesting. I think this, boom.
For sure.
That everyone goes, oh. Everyone listens because you're the guy who isn't just filling the gaps. You're the guy who's making the point.
Simple few things you can change. So from me saying like this and then speaking, and then every time I open my mouth, something stupid comes out, or I haven't thought about what it says properly. Just the changing posture, and then being like, okay, no, this, I think this and that, and just automatically them two little things changes your whole mannerisms and how someone views you without you having to say too much, completely. So you don't necessarily have to walk into a room and be like, oh, hi guys, oh yeah, what do you do this weekend? Oh, you're into climbing? Oh, I used to climb. I have to do all that shit.
Yeah.
Just show that you're interested, If someone speaks to you, speak to them, give them something back. Instead of when someone speaks to you and go, oh yeah, that's nice. You know, because if someone makes effort with you, you could really put someone down like that, couldn't you? Without you're supposed to be the little introverted guy. Little do you know, this guy's throwing, being charismatic towards you, and you're like giving him, oh yeah, and he's like, oh,
yeah,
okay, like I see this guy doesn't want to, reciprocate.
Yeah, exactly.
I know you're full, but type of shit.
Yeah.
Also, a point I made, you were talking about Elon Musk. Something, Chris Williamson, I was watching that earlier, and he had Naval on. I don't want to butcher his second name, so I'm not going to say it, but
Naval's
Rabbit Cat.
Yeah, I can't even pronounce it.
Might have actually,
he's been on Joe Rogan, I think.
Something said is Something he said is pride is the enemy of learning, and I think that's it's a simple point, but it's strong. It's a strong point. You have too much pride. You
think you know it all.
Exactly.
Yeah. Or arrogance is the joy. What was it? Say that
pride
again?
is the enemy of learning.
Yeah, or arrogance is the enemy of learning as well, I guess. It's kind of like a...
For sure, it could
definitely sort of similar sort of...
Oh yeah, 100%. It's just like if you think you have too much pride, you think you're right all the time, you're not going to learn. You've got to... another thing he said, if you're not learning if you're not making mistakes, because mistakes is... Or no, if you're learning properly, you're making mistakes 80% of the time. And that's so true. Making mistakes is what learning is. If you're asking questions all the time, you're learning, And if you're doing things wrong, if you're trying things and you're messing something up, it's fine, because now this person's showing you how to do it properly.
Yeah.
And that's learning. But it just made me go back. I just thought of Elon's is a good example of that, because you've seen that viral clip of he's with his rocket behind him, and this reporter's asking him a question, and this reporter goes, oh, well, have you tried doing this and that? And he goes, oh, well, and he stops.
He stops for a minute, doesn't he? He goes,
seen it, yeah. He goes, no, I think we should try that. Yeah, I'll take that on board. And that is.
Do you know what was brilliant? He didn't pretend like he did know that. Yeah, I know. Yeah, we tried that. Yeah.
We tried
and just get away with like
lying through his teeth because he don't want to look like a dickhead. He was
truly honest and said, no, we've not tried that.
He said, no, you're right.
Humbled himself and said, we're gonna do it.
Fucking Musk, and he sat there, and this reporter, and he's gone, no, thank you. Then he did a second interview with that reporter where he did try that thing, and he said, oh, thank you for making that point, because it's really made a difference. And he's not afraid to say that,
It's probably why he's made so much progress.
Probably, and he's one of the smartest men that we have on this planet at the moment, and he's able to admit, oh, I didn't think of that,
Yeah.
And just the point I don't always relate to my work all the time, but like I'm sure loads of people can relate because they're probably in similar jobs than we are, or are at the moment, or have been.
Yeah.
But it always seems to be their managers, man. But this manager, just doesn't like to admit when something could run better. You give him he'll ask for opinion. That's it. He's great at asking for your opinion, and you'll say your opinion, and he'll shut down that opinion.
And just won't act upon it. Yeah.
Yeah. One of the ladies I'm working with was telling me her conversation she had with him the other day, and she said a very valid point is we don't have enough staff, which is 100% true.
Yeah.
And he came out, we have enough staff. It's like it's laughable. It's actually laughable because we have no staff, and it's comical that he was like, no, we have enough staff. It's like, bro, at least you're right, we don't have enough staff. I know pride is the enemy of learning, man.
Yeah.
He's gonna learn. Like
he's too proud to admit
the truth.
The
truth.
Yeah.
So, how are you gonna learn?
That's quite common, isn't it?
Yeah. So I think that's a very, very valid point. Shall I list another few things I wrote?
Yeah, go on. Let's go through this. Even if it's nothing to do with like communication.
We'll
we'll talk about something a little bit different.
Oh, this is what I was saying earlier.
This thing with the podcast, it's called OffTrail for a reason. Like we just
yeah.
We'll start with one topic, and then by the end of the podcast, we'll be talking about something completely different because that's just how conversations flow, you know.
For sure, yeah. We could make this a lot longer if we wanted to. If we had the time, we'd make this a lot longer.
Go on, we'll do another
topics. Just what I was saying earlier. What I was trying to say, I actually wrote it down and realised it says if you're learning, you're going to be wrong most of the time. Yeah. And yeah, you got to be wrong to learn. Other thing I thought, so this Navar said he was explaining hollow fame, which I've never heard that term before, but it's the term of someone that's famous, but not famous for anything important. So they might be on a magazine or something like that, and it's hollow fame. People have seen your face, but you're not known for anything. So you're someone like Plato, he's not hollow fame, you know. Everyone knows who the fuck Plato is.
Yeah.
Plato did this, Plato did that, and he's a famous dude.
He's known for things, rather than things he's done.
Yeah.
Not for who.
Everyone knows his name. He's in history books.
Not for how he looks.
Yeah, but if someone that went viral on TikTok, some random guy went viral on TikTok for fucking farting to a song. Let's just make up some shit.
It's probably happened.
I'm sure that has definitely happened. I might have even seen that somewhere. That's why I said it. Yeah, that's hollow fame. Like he might be famous. Everyone's going, let me get a picture of the guy that farted to that song, right? But it's like inside, deep within him. Is that something you want to be remembered for?
Yeah.
You probably won't be remembered. You know, three, maybe 2 generations down the line, and no one will know that you ever did that. You know, and you won't be remembered for anything important. So hollow fame is probably not something that I want to be remembered for. If we get this podcast,
it's not the goal, is it?
Point, no, hollow fame. But then he was also talking to fame isn't necessarily what you want. A lot of people try to get rich off of fame, which is not potentially what we're trying to do, right? We're not just necessarily trying to get rich off of doing this. We're doing this because we enjoy it. But people try to get, like Love Island, let's say Love Island. They'll go on Love Island, get famous to be rich.
Get known to then make money. He said it's the better way around is to make money.
Yes, so you make money.
Then
if you want fame, if you realise you got money, I don't need fame now. I realise actually all I needed was money, and you still want fame, then you go for the fame.
Yeah. The way I think he explained it was that we've never had this like ability to earn wealth, but we've always had the ability to earn status.
Yeah.
And if you claw at status, you just end up doing dumb shit to get famous.
Yeah.
Whereas if you're someone who's already made a lot of money, if you look at a lot of the guys who made a lot of money and then get famous, I'm trying to think of some examples. I can't think of any examples, but the point is, like, you're going to do things that are trying to make yourself look good rather than just trying to make yourself famous. Because you've got the money to do stuff. You can do it in a way that looks so much better.
Yeah.
Than if you try to get famous and then get the money from the fame. You end up selling out. You end up doing stuff you don't want to do.
Yeah.
So a lot of billionaires and stuff end up massively involved in like charities and shit. It's not because they actually really care about charity.
Yeah, they want to look good.
It's because they want that status and they want to look good and they want to meet all these different people and like Yeah.
It's not from the heart.
It's for a status thing, not a. It's still a good thing, but like it's not a selfless act. It never there's never ever. You never do something selflessly, really, do you?
No. You know, that's a valid point. Yeah.
I think I've completely butchered that point, but
nah, you're good.
I got there in the end.
Look, pride is the what's the fucking thing?
Yeah, I can hold my hands up and say that was not the best.
Yeah,
explanation.
For sure.
We'll learn from it.
Yeah, another thing.
Do you have any other points from this podcast? I've only listened to about half of it. It was quite interesting.
No.
Cool. Right.
No.
Well, what's the time? I reckon that can wrap it up.
Sure. Right.
Sweet. Actually, no. Do you know what? That was quite good because you were saying to me about this the other day. How a really good way to be good at communicating and like come across as confident is to not sort of and ah and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
But when someone asks you a question, sort of look away and then deliver the point.
Yeah,
that is what you did just
point.
then.
Yeah.
You were looking at your phone going, right, have I got any more? And you didn't go, You just looked at it, bit of silence, and then looked at me and went, no. You delivered that no quite well.